Hello, my babies. Just to let you know, most the videos that have been doing very well with me, and for some reason people are kind of like vibing with them, are the videos titled Insecurities or the videos titled Buddhism. Now, naturally, I would probably find a way to reflect everything on insecurities, and I would find a way to reflect everything on Buddhism. Could also find a way to reflect everything on love, and I can find a way to reflect everything on business. And it's not a power. I really think everything's connected. It's just the way you present them. But given that most of my notes are in my head, and basically those are the little voices that kind of like come out, or the I would say anxiety. So I'm going to start labeling these titles in a lot more intentional way to get the people that might be interested in them. So here you go. This is my confession, the first minute of this video. But I do have these notes anytime I'm actually like vibing with myself. And this note is called Sacrifice from Who I Am Right Now, Not Who I Am Becoming. And so this is basically when I remembered I was discussing sacrifice with myself, and I normally anytime insecurities come up in my head, right? It's anytime it's a spiritual thing or a philosophical thing that comes up in my head, I'm alone. Anytime videos about insecurities or all kinds of different things, or like just dilemmas or judgments, or just basically do's and don'ts and emotions, there's a high chance those are because people are around me. And there's a high chance it's people I know, not necessarily people I don't like, just probably people that I am feeling some kind of way because of. And it's definitely not their fault. It is me. So, sacrifice from who I am right now, not who I'm becoming. This was 4 months ago. I was in the mountains and it was raining. It was a beautiful day and fascinating. I remember I was standing there under the rain, just voice note after voice note, like writing them to myself because like I had like took a couple of puffs, and my head was kind of like very much enjoying the vibe. And when that happens, I start either remembering stuff or having stuff come out of me. So what I do is I start recording myself discuss them. And as I do that, it doesn't really, it brings me back to where I am and how they contributed to where I am right now. And allows the feelings that are lingering because of them to not dissipate, but more like strengthen the current position I'm in instead of the position I was in. And while I was doing that, I remember I was, because like my vision is a bit more intense and I really am thinking beyond what I can see and what I can touch. So a lot of things like kind of bring me anxiety because of this vision. So it's no longer where I am right now that's giving me these like feelings. It's where I'm going. So it's more anxiety and fear and what will tomorrow bring and everything like this. And I try to bring myself back to this point in order for me to start kind of like, what do I have to do today? This is what I have to do today. I'm gonna fucking do it. And every time I find myself losing it, I kind of bring myself back through a conversation, a discussion, which I've been recently getting better at. So, but the origin and the context of this is because, like, I was looking and what do we have in terms of the people that have kind of like affected the world in certain kinds of ways. The way that they are portrayed, let's just say, not the way they are, the way they, I mean, like the way they are, yeah, the way they are and the way they are portrayed by for us towards us, because I am the just like everyone else sitting in front of a computer on YouTube watching reels and shit like this. So most of the time, the people that I'm looking forward to be basically within the same clique as, or to be seen the same way as, are not really in the best of light, or at the very least are not really a light that I want to be about, right? Whether it is the way they interact with humanity, their views on the world, all these kinds of things. I really don't see myself just wanting to be the way they are, wanting to live maybe the way they are, wanting to treat people the way they are. It's just a whole lot of back and forth within myself right now and how I see the world is, knowing full well that it's not the reality I want to be around. So I have to adapt to something new. But ultimately, my only points of reference are not really the points of reference that I like. I admire them, they inspire me, but everyone sees themselves doing something different in a different position. So most of the time, when the position gets closer or when you're taking steps towards it, you start fearing things. And one of the irrational things that I think about is like, what would I become? And so I was having this conversation with myself, and then I realized in order to become the person that does these things, I could either basically, well, I can either become like them in order to get there, which is not what I want. Or from now, I have to be sacrificing the things that are not necessarily contributing to how I would want to be when the time comes. So let me explain it. I am going to cut my hair. All right? If I have short hair all the way to zero, by the time I go to cut my hair, I have no hair to be cut. All right? So that basically did not work really. I had nothing to begin with. So when I got there, I had nothing to do. That doesn't fucking explain anything. Why did I think about hair? It's because I was looking at my beard. Uh, all right, so if I wanted to become a guy that basically manages a company with 20 people, in order to be that, I want to say tough to handle 20 people at the same time because people could actually, they consume energy and sometimes just like you have to deal with a lot as a manager. You can either develop a personality when the time comes that is necessary to handle 20 people, and basically you seek the opportunity. Or you develop the personality as you are waiting and looking for the opportunity, so that by the time the opportunity comes, you are very much exactly how you want to be, ready to handle the responsibility you want to handle. Because anywhere you go, there's responsibility. Whether you're going forward or backwards, there's responsibility. But there's a big difference between being a farmer in a war and being a warrior in a garden. Buddhist saying. Oh, I think it's more Japanese samurai saying, but most of them are Buddhists, so we're cool. But so the saying goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a farmer at war. Which means, as long as every day you're actually preparing for for how to handle the situation that might come about, then regardless of what you're doing today, as long as your preparations are complete, you don't have to worry about the things that would come later. And anyway you think about it, why does a farmer have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, train for 4 hours before he goes and he tends to his garden? Why would the farmer want to train like a warrior? Because if war actually happens, he's a warrior tending to a farm and then going to war. But if he wasn't training like a warrior, or to be a warrior, he's basically a farmer tending to his farm and then going to war. The warrior at wartime would actually have higher chances of survival, whilst the farmer at wartime won't probably, like fighting a war won't really actually be surviving. So it came to me as I was like having this conversation, because the true sacrifice, if we're reflecting on what we're willing to sacrifice now, then when the time comes, there's not that much for us to give up of ourselves. There's not that much that we haven't already pointed, gotten taken care of, and moved forward from. We literally would have become the people that have sacrificed so that when the opportunity shows itself, especially because we're intentional, right? I want to be at this level or doing these things. And to be doing these things, I have to be that kind of guy. So I either sacrifice when the time comes, and I don't normally get that choice anymore because like whatever needs to be sacrificed will be sacrificed if that position is going to stay. But if from now I'm planning to reach that position, then I'm no longer sacrificing something big. I'm sacrificing small things in order to be able to handle my growth, so that when the time comes, I'll be able to do it. So it's a sacrifice from who I am right now. That's sacrificing as a part of a payment, a down payment slash negotiational tactic towards the future that I want. That way, regardless of what happens, I always know exactly who I am in the future. In the worst case scenario, where I actually have to change, I am not going to be the one changing. I'll just be making different decisions. Yep, this basically took away a lot of my anxiety towards the future and fear because, like, irrationally, we try our best to kind of not want to do anything. We try our best to avoid moving forward, especially towards the goals that we have. The more we reflect on them, or at the very least, the more we reflect on what are the things that are making us feel fear, anxiety, the more we realize the insecurities that need to be sacrificed now, so that in the later future we don't have to sacrifice something we can't live without, or we shouldn't. It's a video, guys. Not bad. I'm not bad.